If you love creating high-end holiday crafts that are easy but look expensive, you're going to love today's project. I'm using a mold to create a double-sided Christmas ornament decorated with paper flowers that look like elegant porcelain and adorned with rhinestone clusters. This transformation is stunning. Hello, my crafty friends. I'm Donna from Mason Creations, etc., and welcome to my channel. If you're ready, let's make a mess. I'm using this beautiful mold to make a double-sided Christmas tree ornament. I'm using my favorite DOS clay to make the base for this project, as well as some small embellishments. DOS clay is so easy to work with, dries quickly, and has very little shrinkage or cracking when dry. It's perfect for making molded pieces. This and all the products you're going to see me use today came from decoupagenapkins.com, my wonderful sponsors. After pressing the clay into the molds, I'm scraping off the excess with my palette knife and then smoothing the clay out with some water. Then I'll put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. Freezing the clay makes it rigid so they just pop out of the mold easily. My crafty friend Shirley M. from Rhode Island loved this mold and asked how it could be made into a double-sided Christmas ornament. And my crafty friend Kathy F. asked if I could make an ornate floral ornament using flowers similar to the ones I made in another video. And I'll leave you a link for that video in my description box below. Ladies, this video is for you. Fresh out of the freezer, watch how easily these just pop out of the molds. No delicate little pieces will break off. They are frozen solids, so I'll need to let them thaw for a few minutes, but not in the mold. Make sure you remove them from the mold right away as soon as you take them out of the freezer. I made two of the same molded piece so I can create the double sides. After removing them from the mold, I let them start the drying process for about an hour or so. I wanted the detailed top side to dry somewhat to preserve the details of the mold. Now I'm using Aleene's tacky glue to attach them together. I'm doing this while the clay is still wet on the underside. This way they will dry together at the same rate. I pressed it together lightly around all the edges and wiped off any glue that seeped out. You can only do this with an image that is the same on both the right side and the left side. This is pretty thick now that they're glued together. I placed it on a piece of butcher paper and periodically flipped it from side to side. It will need to dry for 48 to 72 hours depending on your climate. I used some fine grit sandpaper to smooth the edges of where the two clay pieces meet. I want a nice clean attachment so it doesn't look like two pieces that have been glued together. After sanding, I wiped off the dust. I'm going to use some texture paste to fill in any space between the two ornaments. This dries quick in less than an hour. I made two small scroll moldings for the sides. I let them thaw for just a few minutes before gluing them on. But I did glue them while the clay was still wet because I need them to conform to the shape of the ornament as well as wrap around the sides as it's drying. After gluing them both, I set this on something so the side pieces wouldn't get damaged. Because you're watching this video today, decoupagenapkins.com is going to give you a 10% discount on one order that's a minimum of at least $50. This is a one-time discount and is good on your entire order when you use the code MASON10 in all caps at checkout. You can also use this discount in conjunction with the free shipping on orders over $75. So now you can get that mold you've been eyeing or some additional rice papers you've been wanting. Even if you've been ordering from them in the past, you can still take advantage of this one-time 10% discount when using the code above. I'll leave all this information for you in my description box below. I let the little side pieces dry for a few hours And now I'm going to paint the entire piece with Pentart paint in the color gold. Pentart metallic paints always amaze me. They cover in just one coat. I've never seen that before in any other metallic paints. I let this dry for about an hour. Now that the paint's dry, I'm going to seal this with Polyvine Heavy Duty Wood Varnish in a satin finish. I'm going to be doing an antique on this and need a shiny surface. All of the Polyvine varnishes are wonderful sealers, but the Heavy Duty Wood Varnish is my preferred one to use. I love the flawless satin sheen it gives, which is moisture, heat, abrasion, chemical and stain resistant, as well as food safe. It's water-based, so there is no strong smell or harmful fumes. I let the varnish dry for an hour, and now I'm ready to antique. I mixed up some antique using Pentart paint in the color blue. I also added some black paint to darken it up a little. You'll see exactly how I made this in a few minutes when I get started making the flowers. And that's coming up soon. I'm going to make plain paper flowers look like they're made from porcelain. You're going to want to see this, so make sure you stick around. I'm brushing my antique on the piece, going over and around all the embellishments. I'm doing this in sections and wiping the antique off with a soft dry cloth right away before it can dry. Because of the gloss finish, it will wipe off the surface and stay in all the cracks and crevices, showing the details of the mold. Antiquing gives your embellishments some depth and dimension, making everything look 3D instead of flat. What a difference it makes. Everything just comes to life now. Where are you all watching from, my crafty friends? Let me know in the comments. I just love to see what cities and countries all my friends are watching from. I'm filming from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. If you have any trouble wiping off the antique, dampen your cloth. This has a satin finish, so it will wipe off easily. I let the antique dry for an hour and then gave this another coat of heavy-duty wood varnish to protect the antiquing. And I let that dry for an hour also. Now I'm going to add some gold highlights using redesigned decor wax in the color Eternal. I'm putting a small amount of the rub on my finger and rubbing it together with my thumb. Smearing it around like that prevents a large amount of your product ending up in one place. Okay, here we go. Let's make some really awesome flowers. These are some paper flowers that I've had in my stash for literally years, and they're going to become a work of art today. They will no longer look anything like paper when I'm done with them. The first thing I'm going to do is temporarily glue some coffee stir sticks to the bottom of each one. This is going to be a handle, which makes working on them so much easier. I'm just using 1 drop of hot glue and then setting them in a cup to cool. I test all the products that I recommend in my videos. I won't recommend anything that I haven't used myself and prefer. If I'm recommending it, you can bet it's a great product. Each product will be listed in my description box below and will have a blue link to make it easy for you to find. Any of the links I provide are safe for you to click on. Find my description box, click on the word more just below the title of this video. I poured some heavy-duty wood varnish in the satin finish in a little paper cup. I'm dunking the flowers in the cup and brushing off the excess with a small paintbrush. I'm getting between all the petals on the flower to make sure the varnish is between all of them, because you want all the petals top and bottom to get coated with the varnish. I'm also removing any excess that will drip. I'm making sure that the petals aren't stuck together. As they are drying, I'll be periodically separating any petals that are stuck together. As they're drying, the petals can flop a little, so I just keep lifting them up until they stay. I'll be letting them dry overnight to make sure they're thoroughly dry. The varnish makes them shiny and stiff, and just a little bit translucent. Just leaving them like this, they're really pretty, but you know me, that's never going to happen. Just wait until you see what's next. Make sure you don't dunk these in your bottle. Pour it into something different. Since they're paper, the ink can sometimes bleed a little. You don't want to ruin your entire bottle of varnish. I actually had one of the flowers with the green on it bleed a little bit in my cup. The only flowers that will actually flop are the ones with larger petals. The roses won't do that at all. DecoupageNapkins.com has such a great selection of napkins that you can purchase one at a time. They carry many other craft supplies such as rice paper, paint, clay, molds, and a great selection of polybind products. Over 9,000 products and growing. They are wonderful to work with and will send out your order fast. You'll receive free shipping on orders over $75 and special bonus points for orders over $100. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address and you'll receive 10% off your next order. This discount is separate from the Mason 10 discount and may be used on a separate order. They are truly your one-stop shop for craft supplies. Make sure you check them out. I'll be leaving links for all the products I use in my description box below, as well as more information on the previously mentioned promotions. Please note that any of these promotions are subject to future changes. I let all my flowers dry overnight and now I'm brushing on another coat of varnish. I want to make sure they're nice and stiff as well as having a nice shine. The next step is some antiquing, so they have to be shiny for the antique to work well. I'm not dunking them this time, just brushing it on. I let these dry for an hour and then we'll start the antiquing process. You won't even recognize these little beauties. I'm mixing up two different antiques. I'm going to do one of them dark purple and one of them dark blue. I'm using Pentart paint in the color dark blue in one cup, then Pentart paint in the color purple in the other cup. I'm adding some black paint in both cups to darken up the colors. The purple looked a little too eggplant, so I added a couple drops of a bright purple. Now I'm adding about a teaspoon of glazing medium to both cups, as well as a couple squirts of water. This keeps the paint from drying too fast, which gives you a longer working time. Okay, here we go. I'm brushing on the antique over the whole flower, making sure to get it in all the little areas around each petal. I'm dabbing some of it off with a soft dry cloth and then spraying it with water, which makes the antique move all around the petals and drip off. Then dabbing it again. I keep spraying and dabbing until I'm happy with the way they look. The antiquing kind of gives them a distressed porcelain or marble type of an appearance. I'm taking turns and doing some of them with the purple and some with the blue. I put them all standing up in the plastic cup to dry, which will take several hours because they've been sprayed with so much water. Keep an eye on them while they're drying. The antique can continue to drip, and you'll want to dab that off before it dries, or it'll get a really dark streak. You're going to see me use a lot of different tools that make life so much easier. Things like a turquoise cup cradle to keep round objects from getting away, a bow dabra that makes bows in a snap, a water brush for separating rice paper and napkins, nail art brushes for fine detail work, palette knives, a rhinestone picker, and others. All of these items are listed in my description box below and my favorite tools section, just in case you'd like to check any of them out. To find my description box, click on the word More just below the title of this video. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. And why not share this with a friend? Thanks for doing that. You won't want to miss any of the new projects coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. After the antiquing dried, I gave all my flowers another coat of the varnish and let them dry for another hour. If you follow me and know me even just a little bit, you know that there's going to be some sparkle added to these flowers, and it's coming up. Since the backs of the flowers are just paper, the stir sticks pop off really easily. I'm using the point of my scissors just like pliers and pulling them right off. I'm using the Eternal Wax again on just the edges of the petals of all the flowers. I want to be a little precise, so I'm applying it with a small brush this time and catching the bristles on just the edges of each petal. This product is solvent-based, so you'll need to clean your brush with mineral spirits. I keep some in a small jar with a lid. I just swish my brush around in it and wipe it off with a paper towel. Works perfectly. This step would have been so much easier if I hadn't taken off the sticks yet. I was in a hurry to do the next step and almost forgot about the Eternal Wax step. If you think this is all the sparkle I'm going to add to these flowers, you might be wrong. Just wait. Once the Eternal Wax dries, it looks so shiny and pretty. And now I'm going to add some diamond dots. These are meant for diamond painting, but I don't do that, and I think these are really pretty. So I'm going to go outside the box right now. And I'm taking you guys with me. These gorgeous tiny little things are really small rhinestones on one side and gold on the back. When you dump them, you get an amazing mixture of gold and sparkle from the rhinestones. I'm using color number 7007. I'm using a brush to dribble some of my heavy-duty wood varnish in some random areas of each flower. I'm using it as my glue for the dots. That way it will dry looking exactly like the finish on the other areas of the flowers. Then I'm going to dump the dots on the flower and shake off the excess. I'm dribbling the varnish on pretty thick, so these will need to dry for a couple of hours, and then we'll be ready to put this together. I'm using hot glue to add all these fabulous flowers to my gold base. I'm bunching them up close together and even sliding some of the petals under other flowers. I actually ended up making more flowers than I needed, but better to have more than not enough. There are some blank spots around the edges that I'm going to fill in with some more of the dots. This is going to sparkle like crazy. I glued flowers on the backside and did some filling in just like I did on the front. I'm going to use my mini bow dabber tool to make a beautiful bow for this project. There are vertical slits and horizontal slits. Add a thin cord or a small ribbon through the vertical slits. Then you can layer your ribbon back and forth in the horizontal slits, using as many layers of ribbon or as many different types of ribbon that you want to. After you have all your layers of ribbon, pull up the two ends of your small cord in the vertical slits and tie them together. You can then safely lift up your newly made bow. I bring the cord around to the back and tie it in a knot. Now you can add an embellishment to the center of the bow or another tiny bow. I just love this little tool. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, decoupagenapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. While I was threading the cord through the loop on the top, I snapped it off in the process because I was using too thick of a cord. So here's my fix. I cut a length of gold cord to use as the hanger and glued it between both bows. Then I glued the bottom of the bow to the top of the ornament. This worked perfectly and is holding well. I put together a Christmas playlist with some other tutorials you may enjoy. Click the picture on the right to be taken to that playlist. I'm so happy you were here with me today, and thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all next week. I'm working on a new Christmas project with you in mind. You can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.